Welcome back to Tetris Tuesdays at 10. This is going to be a fun one. So I've often nerded out about all these different terms and cars that are driving by when it comes to Tetris, and I really hope he doesn't park in front of my studio. I think we're okay. Live. So I've really nerded out about these different terms and technical terms having to do with Tetris and the development of Tetris and the play of Tetris. I'm learning them all. You'd think I would know them since I'm the guy that says this has been his favorite game since he was 8 or whatever. Next thing to look up, how old was I when the Nintendo version of Tetris came out? Actually, it's a pretty good question. I was probably close to 8. I know last week I said we might be doing the J3100 version, which the J3100 ended up being a series of computers that Toshiba put out, and I think there was an American version called the T3100. There's a series on either end, Japanese and American, but it's a laptop, or kind of wanted to be. I guess it's still, like, it was in compact form, looks like one of those old laptops, except it still always had to be plugged in, no battery. So not strictly speaking portable, but portable. And there were some emulation choices, but I couldn't find the game. So we're going to skip that version. It's fine, because I was already ready to go on the next. And so far we've done a bunch of Mirrorsoft versions. We've done a bunch of Spectrum Holobyte versions. What happened with the rights was that Mirrorsoft, who thought they had them, I believe thanks to Roger Stein. I always get confused whether it's Roger or Robert, and that's only because of Hank Rogers. They thought they had the rights. Roger Stein thought he had the rights. I believe it was Stein who was out there making it rain as far as Tetris licenses go. But he, at one point, I believe with Mirrorsoft, or at least Mirrorsoft by itself, sold the arcade rights because they were separate. That was one of the things that was separate, even though they had to redefine, I think, computer and console at some point. But the American arcade rights went to Atari. We'll play that version later. And, well, it went to Tengen, but whatever, Atari. The Japanese arcade rights were sold to SEGA. So what I didn't realize was that the SEGA version of Tetris is extremely influential. I had no idea this thing set up a bunch of standards that are still around and would be for certainly a lot of the other games that we're going to play for this series. Funny story is that we're going from the BPS, the Bulletproof Software versions, which are easily, at the very least so far, but again, having played quite a few over the course of my life, the longest, most involved versions of Tetris. We're going from those to maybe the quickest, because this was an arcade game. And we all know arcade cabinets were meant to maximize quarters, just to gobble them up. So Sega's version of Tetris is basically endless. There are, I think, only 3 actual level 0 to 1, 2 to 3, 4 to 5, 6 to 7, and 8 plus are the demarcations here. Other than that, it keeps going. Once you get to the highest, you can just keep going for as long as you want, which luckily the Tetris Wiki is kind enough to point out that highly skilled players can play indefinitely, even when the counter stops at 999,999 points, though players usually stop once this is achieved. I'm sure they do. Wouldn't that be nice? So a Tetris game I literally cannot beat, but also probably will not achieve 999,999 points. Since it came out fairly early, it does share some similarities with the stuff we played before already. We can only rotate counterclockwise. But the cabinet apparently had 3 buttons on it. And if you hit, they all did the same thing. So they all rotated. And I guess that was confusing to me at first. But apparently the idea was that if you hit all of those 3 in rapid succession, I guess I don't know if this was the purpose, but this is what it ended up being used for. If you hit all those in rapid succession, it would essentially look like a clockwise rotation. So I guess that was something that skilled players did. Yeah, it was probably purposeful. That sounds like something, obviously they would build something like that in, this is not early on in the life of arcades period, in fact, late 80s, so probably fairly late. They would have been smart enough to do something like that. Although, why not just then make a clockwise rotation? Again, probably because they encouraged people to die, so they had to spend more quarters. Still no wall kicks. If it's against the wall and the piece itself would bump into the wall, if I tried to rotate it, it just won't let you rotate it. So that's still the same. But whereas in other games, I could just hard drop till my heart's content, from the very top. That was often how you maximize your score. Also, you hit the button to hard drop the piece, it would start up top and immediately be on the bottom. That's a hard drop. But we've got soft drop for the first time, which first time for me. I guess there's a chance with all the emulation, I just didn't get the button presses right, and there were games that had soft drop that I did not figure out. This literally has it, like in the place of hard drop even, which is kind of interesting. I'm guessing that probably would have been another concession to make sure that people were spending the money. Anything that would have quite possibly prolonged the life of the player, they were probably very aware of and had to have a conversation about. However, many of the mechanics that exist in later games were first seen in this version, like I said, such as DAS movement. And this is where some of the terms come in that I enjoy. DAS stands for delayed auto shift, which is when you kind of hold the button. It's like key repeat on your computer. It'll pause for a second and then it'll just do like it'll act like you're continually pressing the button. So this has that, and it's attached to the joystick, which, by the way, going full on retro arch or arc, depending. I don't know if it's literally pronounced retro arc or if I've just been watching too many British videos about it, but whatever it is, that's how we're going to emulate it this time around because it's got the joystick. I don't feel so bad about using my Xbox controller here. I'm doing retro arch by way of my Xbox Series S in here. So this has that, which other DAS, speaking of delayed auto shift or auto repeat, even though games I have played so far have had that, I don't know if that's been an effect of the emulator or not, to be honest. So this definitely is not. This was built in and is perfectly mapped to the joystick, which it's MAME by way of RetroArch, I should also mention. So if you want to play any of these versions, you're looking at MAME. There's probably a better way to do it on your computer, but it's more complicated. So I'm getting pretty used to and enjoying RetroArch for the Xbox Series S, even though it's geared a little bit more towards the gamepad. It is much easier to get stuff running most of the time. So, also, lock delay is 30 frames for this particular game, and that's when a piece gets to the point where it would lock, like how long between that and the piece cementing. That's the lock delay. And maybe my favorite term, RA, which looks like ARE, spelled R, but is from a Japanese word, so it's not doesn't stand for anything in the English language, but can also be called entry delay or appearance delay or spawn delay, which you can guess means that when the piece does lock down, when does the other piece appear, which you would think would be equal to lock delay, right? It's just all on the same kind of rhythm, but it's not. I'm sorry, here it is equal. You would think that would be equal to line clear delay. So when you clear a line, like how long until the next piece appears, but it's not. Line clear is another term here. It's actually 42 frames. The delayed auto shift is 20 frames, by the way. So again, who cares? I do. This is fascinating to me. both because it is such an influential version, but because this is stuff you just don't think about. You know, who take it from me, you can play Tetris for your entire life and not know this is a thing until you start digging into it. So I probably shouldn't mention any of this, because anybody that would tune into a show called Tetris Tuesdays at 10 probably already knows this and is just fuming that I'm somehow in charge of this particular show instead of them, which I'm right there with you, buddy. come on anytime. So I think we've probably should just play the stinking thing. I'm put a little bit more thought into the talk this time around because the games are going to be so much shorter. I haven't got that far into them. I play a little bit just so I know what the buttons are. I don't think it's cool to get on stream and then figure out the buttons in front of you for the most part, even though I've probably done that to some extent. But with MAME, with the arcade versions, it's a little bit different because you need to emulate putting in a coin, like what button is gives you a credit, stuff like that. So I just had to work through some of that. This is the Atari version of Tetris. I don't know if that's what the A is. I might have renamed it that before I put it in here. But the E on this, Tetris E, is because the board was called System E. Yeah, Tetris SE, so System E, which means it was actually a later version, I guess indistinguishable for the most part, but when the initial System 16, which was the original Japanese arcade version of Tetris, hit so big, they followed up with it extremely quickly with the System E arcade board, which was based on the 8-bit hardware of the Sega Master System console. So we're going to be playing some of those later on as well. But again, always fun to know that when that does pop up, how many times from here on out am I going to be mentioning this version? Turns out quite a few. So here we go. I'm nervous the text is going to the edge like that. Oh, I might as well get this in the ear. Strangely enough, there's no title music. I've noticed the American arcade version, and I am letting this go so you can see the demo screen here. This would have been what people, walked into the arcade and saw. But again, no sound. The Atari version, no outright music. Arcade cabinets, right? I guess I shouldn't assume that anymore. Arcade cabinets would often have a song that was just always playing, to get you to go over and look at them or whatever it was. This doesn't have that, so I'm curious what the memory would have been walking into a Japanese arcade. Was it just silence? You chose the game you wanted to play? I can't imagine so, but for Tetris it apparently was. So I found out the select key is to insert a coin, so I'm inserting a coin now. It'll take you back to title, and then we can hit start to actually get the game going. I'm going to use the joystick, even though, again, I've expressed my reservations about this. Oh, one of the interesting things about this version is you cannot milk the clock at all. I can finally do this, though. Oh, kind of. Yeah, there we go. If I just let a piece drop, if it reaches a certain time, maybe I can find it. Level timer per level. 60 seconds. So if I just wait 60 seconds while these pieces drop, after that last piece drops, when 60 seconds has expired, it'll just automatically level me up. So no matter what you do, the pieces are going to get faster and faster. This also has a ceiling. If you notice, the brackets come in at the top. I mean, that's a visual representation. Level up right then. But I can use the D-pad if I want, actually. But the down doesn't work for soft drop. So again, I'm going to stick to the joystick just because that's what I would be using normally with this thing. There's also something called a power on pattern that apparently, which I actually have noticed with some of the earlier versions. In fact, I want to see, I ran into this with, I'm going to take the hit here. the Commodore 64 version of all things. I noticed whenever I restarted the emulation, it would restart the pattern. Like the pattern of pieces that I got was the same every time I powered the thing on. Okay, man, come on. Okay. Again, this is going to be a die and... But come on, these pieces are real bad. Yeah, level up! Don't have to do anything, let alone actually make lines. Okay, here we go. All right. If I get at least one Tetris out of this thing. All right, there we go. But because of the ceiling, I cannot... Yeah, I'm like scared to try for any Tetrises already. I can't rotate the piece actually right when it comes on screen, which is a little bit strange. Didn't mean to do that at all. Was trying to put it all the way on the right. And the joystick on this, like, say what you will about the Pro controller or Elite controller here. The quality is outstanding, almost a little too outstanding. The joysticks, if you like take your thumb off them at all, they will... I wonder if I can at least get to level... What was the top out level? Cannot look at the screen at this point, so... I don't think I'm getting any additional points for soft dropping, so there's really no point to me doing that. Ooh, so there was some lock delay right there. Yeah, so it's not the same as... Oops. Oh, there I got it again. Wait, no, this doesn't have... This can't have... I'm going to try infinite spin here, see where it gets me. Well, that wouldn't have worked anyways right then. Yeah, it looks like it gives me like 2... I guess maybe the lock delay has not been as generous. Oh boy. Not what I was trying. Yeah, there's a little bit of time to do something with these. Not that. Oh, that I tried to rotate. What's going on? Go! I feel like I'm rotating and it's not going. Oh, I thought that was going to be a... It's like the delay isn't actually as big as it looks. There we go. I hit level 10. Oh, it's sped down. Well, that's interesting. It speeds down at 10? I did not read this correctly. Not a bad first. I got, yeah, any level 10 is fine with me. So after 60 seconds, it'll go from 0 to 1. After 40 seconds, oh wow, okay. Between 1 and 8, it's only 40 seconds, and then it'll level up. But then from 9 to 10, it's 60 seconds again. And then from 11 to 14, it's 30 seconds. So, interesting. There's a little bit of a curve built in there. Did I place? Yeah, I did get first. But then level 15 through 99 is exactly the same, and it's every 60 seconds it'll go up. Interesting. All right, let's try it again. Just want to make sure I'm not missing out. The ceiling, the playfield height is 20 rows. Any rotation that would exceed that height will fail. So yeah, no kicks against the ceiling as well. At high gravity speeds, players must time their piece rotations so the piece is not touching the ceiling and also not stuck in the stack. So yeah, that's just saying if I've built up too high and the piece spawns and I can't rotate against the stack or the ceiling, it's obviously there's nothing I can do. This does also mention synchro moves. The rotation movement process before gravity allows for synchro moves, which was the idea that you can successfully input both rotation and movement at the same time, which obviously isn't useful on earlier levels, but towards the end is absolutely necessary. So maybe that's what I need to be concentrating on. My synchros. Let's insert another coin and give it a go. I'll stop talking about Tetris and actually play it from here on out, I promise. See, that's nice to be able to do that. To soft drop and then twist it back around. Or shove it in. Put it there. Put her there. Yeah, it definitely doesn't rotate against the ceiling, and that kind of reminds me of the Tetris games where, like, eventually it's going so fast, the technique is basically to just hold down on the soft drop, so it'll just always be soft dropping because that is slower than the actual speed of the level. We are not going to get there. That is not a thing you will see on this particular show. You're going to see me wishing he hadn't done some of what he's done over and over again. Like that, for instance. Right, we're okay. Oh, now we're not! Come on! Ah! What is happening? No, what? Why didn't you just go over all the way? If I turn... Oh, come on. It's the joystick, like I said. Sometimes the construction is a little too much because it's like, I'm not going to be able to rotate the piece against the roof like I talked about. That started out real good! Level 2. Score 540. It's the sticks. Like, they're so nice. And it's like geared in there. But like if you go one and you don't keep your thumb on the stick to like guide it back, it'll actually register in the opposite direction because it's like bouncing back. Like tang. Probably partly because of the weight too, because the little guys are weighted. They're very nice. It's great. But it definitely was the reason I just died in that last game. Okay, here we go. All right, come on. Maybe I will use... All right, I'm going to gamepad here. No, because then I can't soft drop. Wait, I think I put soft drop. Okay, I got soft drop on the X too, which actually having the binary on the soft drop is pretty nice. Instead of trying to... Like, that's with the stick. Okay, well, that was with the button. Yeah, we're gonna go gamepad now. Soft drop on X. Rotation still on A. Maybe not as the arcade gods intended, but now we just have to not switch the button switch. It's actually the opposite, whereas what game was that I playing last? Or it was the Famicom version. I had to like tell myself the pattern was left right, in that I used the left side of the pad first and then the right. This is the opposite. I gotta use the right side of the pad to rotate and then the left to soft drop. Right, left, right, left. Oh, I held on to that a little too long. Right, left, No, oh, it wouldn't kick. That's right. It's not kicking against the stack either. That's what I'm doing a little bit. Right, left. Oh gosh, I did it again. Right, left. Right. 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 Not great. Right. Also wrong freaking button. Come on. Old habits and all that. Right, left. I'm not going to be able to rotate. Again, we're going from like one game of Tetris for every 2.5 hours to 230 games of Tetris every... gosh, we haven't even been at this for 30 minutes and I still talked for like half of it. Not breaking the leaderboard on these other attempts, folks. Insert coin, begin game. I kind of did worse when I switched up the pattern, didn't I? Okay, back on the joystick. Just gotta keep my finger on it. A to rotate. Let's try some synchros. Yeah, look at that. I can move and rotate at the same time. Nope. See, it wasn't a straight down on the joystick that time, which is why I like the binary of the gamepad. I could just still soft drop on the stick, move on the other. I don't know if I like that either, honestly. I got DAS on the gamepad. Nope, wrong one. Okay, stick into the stinking joystick. Maybe they didn't know what they were talking about. So the way to score, since it does automatically level you up, is to just get the pieces down before it auto levels you up, right? Is that what I'm figuring out here? I don't need, like, the delayed auto response is nice. I don't think I need it so much. I guess I probably will at higher levels. Certainly more skilled players would. But it appears to be doing more harm than good. And it does level up with the lines also. It's not just time. So I've got both things kind of working against me here. Not a great place to put these, or that, or that. I'm just gonna put a big ugly tower over there. Give up on my Tetrises for the most part. In the interest of staying alive. Which that worked out incredibly well. As far as this version goes, pretty solid. Like, you can see why this was a hit in the arcades. It's obviously a very distilled version of what makes Tetris great, so doesn't surprise me in the least. Music is good. It's not too in your face, you know, no Technotris going on here. All apologies to Technotris and the people who wrote it. It's a little bit hardcore. I need to take this. Doesn't feel like I'm getting... Oh, there's a line! Ooh, and I almost couldn't use it. Okay. 9 again. Okay. So it's like it's let it... I was gonna say, it's like it stops letting me rotate it, but... Oh, T-spin! Kind of. I think maybe. I don't know. That's not good. Just rotate! Not sure why that didn't rotate. No! Okay. Now you're just being silly. Can't rotate. He stayed alive a little bit longer there. Hey! 26,000? That's me putting in more coins. There is something just like baseline. Oh, name entry. Have I been skipping this the whole time? Gipper. Gix. Hey, first place. All right, that was my high scoring. Oh, because I got more lines. So I didn't get, oh, see, yeah, I didn't level up as much as the other one because that one I kind of just ran out the clock. So there you go. Speed is the way to score in this particular one. I wonder if Tetrises are worth it. You do have to wonder how much of this is like with the no wall kicks and the no wall kicks against the ceiling, and etc., like getting greedy here, but like how much of that was purposeful and how much of it is kind of legacy, because that's just how the game started out. Okay, well, that didn't work out. I'll put that there. Don't love this. There we go. No special sound for a Tetris. Yeah, how long did it take for them to be like, okay, this is how it is because this is how it's always been. This is how, or what the limitations of the hardware were, you know, so there wasn't any conversation to be had, really. It was like, you know, the old sound effects or music thing. You got one or the other. And once you chose, it wasn't like, how do we combine the two? Nope. Because eventually they sat down and were like, you know, made all of those kind of quality of life improvements or fine-tunings once the hardware ceiling was essentially eliminated. You know, there's not really like they've obviously prettied up a lot of Tetrises out there. You know, Tetris Effect is kind of the newest, highest marquee Tetris I can think of, is gorgeous. There's certainly stuff on there that cannot be done on older systems, but that's not gameplay relevant. Like, even the gameplay relevant stuff in Tetris Effect is executable by any, like, you know, an arcade machine for that matter. Actually, I don't know that. An arcade machine of a certain time, let's say. None of it's really, you know, like processor intensive stuff anymore. Tetris has topped out in terms of that. I don't know if you're going to come up with a... I rotated that too many times. I don't know if you're going to come up with a Tetris mechanic at this point that's impossible to execute on the hardware that is generally in use nowadays. Well, that could have been arranged a little better. No! Wanted to put it here. No! So it's really an issue with the later levels. The whole joystick thing. I wonder if that was an issue. Jeez. On the actual arcade cabinets. Not what I was trying. Oh, come on! It's like it stopped. It's not the wall kick thing either. No, only got 2 out of that. Should have put that over there. Not what I wanted. This seems familiar. Oh, come on. That doesn't want to rotate that at all. Or that one. That was a stupid idea, because I'm... Hey! High score, though. The score keeps going up. This is, I guess, the important thing. Again, I'm not really a high score guy, but... you find yourself getting into it. Ah! Classic. 42 lines. Yeah, it seems largely tied to however many lines you make. Coin inserted. Let's go again. I have poked around the Atari version, the Atari arcade version of Tetris as well. And it is a lot more, you know, again, there's probably some cultural differences going on here that I'm glossing over, but it is far more in line with what I expect from an arcade experience. Yeah, it's honestly the fact that I can't rotate at the ceiling that's kind of throwing me off. That, and I'm not that good. It's really getting in the way of my enjoyment here. It's not where I wanted to put it, but... I wanted just to soft drop it, and it got like almost all the way there, and then wiggled around and fell in place, so whatever. There's a chance I'm not pressing perfectly down on the joystick, I guess. There's no way to turn off next. That's usually been a thing I try to do because that's usually something that affects the score as well, but Did not find any way that you could do that. There are ways to edit the game, so to speak, but they're all involving like dip switches and stuff, like, you know, they would on in arcade, which is why MAME is so cool. I don't know if this is how widely known this is, but arcade emulation is basically, it's like having to emulate, it is exactly emulating an entire system all on its own. Even though it's one game, it's like one game per system, you know, so this is emulating, and MAME typically has to emulate like the literal systems, boards individually, you know, it's different for each one. So I don't, in case you can't tell, I don't have any idea how they actually do it. It is a wonder to me, all the work that must go into such a thing. I need to get this down, or it's going to be bad. Yeah, that was not ideal. Because now I've got a big line over what I would rather fill up. I don't know. This is now, I need like 7 lines. This is bad. And again, it's going to be right over. And I didn't get anything for it. Oof. Nope. Nope. Jeez. Okay, there's a fly. Not fair. Oh, go! Oh, I can't believe I got that. It's gonna be the last one I do get. Not even close. Okay. I think we get the idea. We are fully on board and educated as to the SEGA arcade version of Tetris for Japanese arcades from 1988. Let's give it one more go. The go of our era. Let's go out with a bang. High score, here we come. Where did this fly come from? I really dislike this fly at this particular moment. Door to my office hasn't even been open. Already messed up my Tetrises. Don't like that piece. O tower. There must be a Tetris for the actual Sega Master System. I haven't looked that far ahead. In fact, I don't even think I know what we're doing. I do actually know. I do know what we're doing next week, but I'm unfamiliar with the Sega Master System version of Tetris at this point. I imagine it's similar to this. That's why I mentioned it. I need to check on my local arcade. We actually have a fairly new one that was I got a made friends with a local arcade guy who has since actually passed away, so R.I.P. Dan, this one's for you. But he was friends with, we like walked into our local mall, which is dead, as you might imagine, and there was a new arcade going in, and there was a guy in there working on some of the machines, and like I could tell from like the second I walked in, like sometimes I walk into an arcade and it's like, okay, the mall put this together, you know, like this doesn't seem like anything bespoke or lovingly created. This was just like, you know, it's probably the age-old, we gotta have one of these because they just sit there and make money. You know, the kids just put in the quarters. But this arcade was different, is different. Again, need to check on it, been a while. But the guy that was working on some of the machines, I was like, hey, do you know Dan? And sure enough, he did. It's a pretty tight-knit community at this point. I would imagine locally, people like that just know each other. But he invited us to go, like, oh, dang it. I'm in a really good spot, and I'm about to throw it all away here. But he invited us to go kind of behind the scenes and check stuff out and just have a look at what he was doing. And it was cool. Like, obviously, can't believe I made that. I'm kind of getting the hang of this particular version. Oh no, go over. It locks in before you think it locks in though, honestly. Okay, rotate! Did not rotate. Didn't rotate at all. Oh, I should have put that over there. Yep, because I screwed that one up. Come on. Well, I can do this. Not gonna make it over there, though. Wow! I kind of expected my score to be higher than that. That's just... Do not understand scoring, for the most part, in video games. That's always been a foreign concept to me, so... Oh, one more time. Classic. Seek. Fifth place on that one. All right. So we peaked early this stream, but that's the Sega arcade version of Tetris. Next week, with any luck... Oh, look, I got credits, 7 credits left over. Just going to throw it all away. Again, that's the base thrill of playing an arcade version via emulation, is that you're rich. Next week, with any luck, chronologically, because that came out in probably December of 1988. So with any luck, we'd be looking at the Tandy version of Tetris, developed by ZCT Systems Group, published by the Tandy Corporation. I believe this was mentioned. No, it was not mentioned there. Okay, well, I'll have a little bit more information on that, obviously, next week, given that I can figure out... Oh, that's what it was. It was kind of a Spectrum Holobyte licensed, or sub-license, I guess it would be at that point, version of the game for the TRS-80 color computer. So, given I can emulate that and find a version of the game, it does look different enough that it might be interesting to... It's, you know, you'll see the Spectrum Holobyte DNA, certainly, since we've been through those, but our days of 2.5-hour Tetris streams are over officially, and oh, okay, I can't say that with any actual. Even when it comes to the Nintendo version of Tetris, which is like my Nintendo, and I can't actually like beat that game, I don't think I'm going to sit down and play it for 2.5 hours. So either way, next week, with any luck, it'll be the Tandy version. So thanks for hanging out. If you like any of this, it's only possible because of the patrons that I have over on Patreon. I know that YouTube does memberships, and I've heard they are a bit more successful for YouTube creators. I don't have that option. That doesn't unlock for me until, I think, 1,000 subscribers. I think it's when monetization is unlocked as well. It's like 1,000 subscribers and X amount of actual play time or view time. So if you want to help me get there, that would also be awesome. The whole like and subscribe thing actually does help, it turns out. But if you want to cut to the chase, go to Patreon and sign up for a monthly. That's where I get the most out of people telling me they want me to keep doing this. So that's over at patreon.com/Ryan_runs_. I've also done a PayPal link, which is more of a one-time donation. Again, if any of this seems useful to you, I know this is not the era in which for a long time it was for me, and not the era in which I paid for things like that. If you can get it for free, why don't you? And there were times where financially that's what I needed. So obviously, do not patronize me if you cannot financially afford to do so. But now in my later life, if I could help people get here, I would. But I realize how important it is to pay the people that mean something to me, even if it's by way of what they produce in their content, whatever we got to call it. So big old flowery spiel at the end of Tetris Tuesday here. Important thing being, I'll be back on Tuesday next week, and we'll play another version of Tetris. So thanks for hanging out. See you next time.